Hey guys, yes, it is your queen, Divine Mother, Goddess Yamaya, and I'm back with you guys with a new video. Yes, I am. I know you all was waiting on a video to come out, and here it is. So, I wanted to talk about basically our job. Okay, I wanted to talk about whether you're an employee or if you have a career where you're the boss, and I know that's still a job, but sometimes a job and a career is totally different. And we're going to get off into another topic, which is going to be about entrepreneurship. And if you're an entrepreneur, which is also a business owner, and an entrepreneur is someone who has different business ventures, and maybe they have a host of businesses, not just one. And basically, I wanted to talk about this because I've been a person who's been in all positions of what I'm touching on. And ultimately, I ended up here where I am now, which is working from home. And it has been amazing for me, but I know that we all aren't in the positions to do this. And I want to talk to you in a way where hopefully if you have been contemplating on being a business owner and getting into this position, we can talk you into the steps of what it might take or what it might look like for you to navigate with those steps into getting in that position. It takes a lot. I've told many people that I've known in my past that in order to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. Sometimes we're placed in positions just because our family was already in that position. And so, as they say in the business world or in the work field, that it takes somebody in order for you to get into a higher position. To know somebody is to basically get you there quicker. And that is true, but that doesn't mean that you'll always hold that position, because a lot of times as well, you do also need skills. And yes, you can be taught things, but some things just cannot be done based off of who you know. Some specific technical skills or what have you, carpenter skills or whatever it may be, cleaning skills, some things it takes, as I'm saying, skills, it takes time to develop, and you can't just fulfill that job just because you know someone who used word of mouth in order to get you in was a good reference, I like to speak of and say. So yeah, for me, it took me to be a good follower for a really long time, for many years, in order for me to get in a position of being an entrepreneur. And I started off basically doing miscellaneous things like braiding hair when I was in high school, working at different jobs as a teenager, where I needed my school to sign off for me to go to work and my mom's permission in order for me to go to work. My first gig was basically me working at in Oakland at the Coliseum, basically, which is where they do a lot of games and stuff like that. And I was one of those people who was walking around like, peanuts, get your peanuts. And that was so damn embarrassing to me. And people would be rude, people would hit on you. I found out a lot about life when I jumped off into going to work as a teenager. I found out that people were perverts and stuff like that, and they used to hit on me and stuff, even though I was really young, and it made me really uncomfortable. So I didn't end up staying at that job for very long, because I didn't want to be around grown-ups who were drunk, who were perverts. I didn't want anything to end up happening to me, so I avoided that circumstance as much as possible. But anyway, so that was my first gig, and then I ended up so I was actually an entrepreneur as well as working. I was basically willing to do whatever it took in order for me to make money when I was younger, because I came from an impoverished background where my mom, she really didn't buy me clothes and stuff like that, or shoes or anything like that, and I basically used to have to wear family member stuff, and I didn't want to be in that position, and it was really embarrassing for me. I really knew what was going on with my life, and I didn't like it, so I know I needed to make a change, and I know it was all going to start with me. So let me slow down a little bit. So I ultimately ended up doing a bunch of jobs after that, after I finished high school, while in the middle of also being a new mom, because I had my daughter when I was in the 12th grade, and it was challenging, but I did finish school, and when I did, I ended up going to college as well as working. So in the midst of me going to college and working, because I couldn't go to the universities that I got into, I ended up basically going to a community college, which was close to home, and basically taking as much as I can, like loans out and stuff like that. Obviously, because like I said, I came from an impoverished family where they didn't have everything that I needed right there on hand. So I ended up taking two jobs. One was at a Port of Oakland, and another one was at a 99-cent store. And at the 99-cent store is where I really found myself, and found out a lot about how people can backstab you and stuff like that. And found out about my work ethic and how strong of a worker I was, how strong-willed I was, and my ability to stay dedicated even through a lot of stuff that was going on. I ended up having a boss who was stealing out of my cash register because she didn't like me, and she ultimately ended up getting fired. Like the feds ended up coming because she was changing her work hours and stuff like that, and basically stealing from the clock. And so they ended up arresting her on the job. So God was my retribution for that or whatever, but I was really thankful. I got to see it front row, and although I wasn't wishing that on her, she was giving me a really hard time and trying to get me fired, where she's the one who ended up getting fired. So after that, I ended up getting a new apartment in a different location. And when I got that apartment, I didn't have a job because I ended up leaving that job because there was so much going on at the 99-cent store. Like I was saying, someone was trying to implicate me and say that I was stealing and stuff like that, which I was not doing. I was not a thief. I don't steal from anyone. I don't steal, period. Well, I was stealing when I was younger, clothes from corporations, because I didn't have anything, and that was before I had a job. But I learned quickly that wasn't good. My sister ended up getting caught, and my cousins stealing out of a department store, a really big department store, and almost going to jail. Had they not been kids, they would have young teenagers. They would have went to jail, and that taught me a lot. And so thankfully I wasn't there with them, and their experience helped me to know, like, nah, this ain't cool. So anyway, I ended up basically moving into my apartment, and I got a job working as a security guard at the Ferry Building, and I worked there for a couple years, where later I ended up getting transferred to a hospital in where was that at? By San Rafael. I can't think of the name of it. I can't think of the name of the place that I was going to, that I was working at, but I was working at a hospital, basically close to San Francisco. And I ended up, San Mateo County Hospital in the psych ward. Ended up working there, and I was working, as I was saying, in the psych ward with a lot of 5150 patients and stuff like that. And I got to see a lot and got a lot of experience based off of how the doctors were, how the nurses were, how they treated people, how they talked about people, even though they were these people who went to school for many years, but they were low vibrational. I knew I didn't. At first I wanted to be a mortician, ended up finding out that I didn't want to do that. Like I couldn't, people were dying, and I had to be the one who checked their bodies in, and I found out, like, I don't like that. I'd rather be the one who gives life to people than be the one who helped put them away. So I couldn't do that. Found out I didn't want to do that, and it was helping me to basically check off the things in life that I didn't want to do, that I was working towards. So ultimately, I ended up knowing, like, I don't like to work for people. I don't want to continue to do this. So I took a few more jobs after that, and I ended up working at Amazon different times as a delivery driver until I moved to Las Vegas. And once I moved there, I was a Lyft driver before I had ultimately went there. And once I got there and started doing Lyft in the Bay Area, as well as Uber Eats and stuff like that, I found that I liked doing that a little bit more, and I ended up getting hired also with Aflac, which is a insurance company that mainly deals with insuring employees through companies and stuff like that, and but it's based off a commission. And even though I got hired, I didn't want to do it because I was a mom of three, and I didn't want to work for someone where I had to work commission first and sell myself in order for me to make money and when I needed it ASAP. So I continued to do Uber for a while until I ultimately ended up starting my own business with house cleaning, where I was making much more than I had made for anyone else. And by me doing that, it helped me to understand that I was worth way more than what I was settling for in jobs. And even though it was a job that people looked down on, and it was a business that people looked down on, I was making a lot of money by doing it, because I used to help my mom when I was younger and she was younger to clean motel rooms of a hotel and motel that she worked at. And so with that experience, I ended up putting it in. It ended up turning out to be way better than I had thought. And I got built up a big clientele base. Ended up basically stopped doing that for a little while and continued to do Lyft for a while, because I knew I didn't like to do house cleaning, just based off of the experience of our history as black women and how they were house cleaners. And even though I was getting paid a lot to do it, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it for a while. So I stopped doing that. And pretty much ended up starting overtime. We're gonna fast forward it, continue to do that, DoorDash and different things, just like all 1099 jobs, all jobs that even though they were under companies, it was on my own free time. And so while me doing that, I ended up instantly falling in love with working for myself and basically just building myself up. And so I ended up doing starting a house cleaning service company, which is called Superbly Clean by Kendra LLC, and a clothing business called Simplistic Beauty by Kendra LLC. And I did both of those for a little while, got distracted because I was also doing real estate. I'm like one of those busy bugs who like to multitask and do a lot of stuff at once. And even though I still have both of those businesses, right now I am currently working on what I work on now, which is blogging and pretty much answering my calling of spreading love. But those are some things that I do have in my background and that I do like to pick up from time to time. And right now I'm currently doing beads, making chakra beads that I pray over before I package them up, and when I'm done, just to make sure that they're pretty much blessed. And so yeah, that was my journey. I know it's short because I wanted to just wrap it up as quickly as possible, but there's many more stories in between all of that I could share with you guys for hours, but obviously YouTube won't let me do that. They will let me make the video for hours, but it will take forever for me to upload it, and I don't want to take forever to upload it, because I keep having to make these videos and take a while in order, like days, sometimes up to 2 days to upload all my videos. So I'm gonna cut it short here, but I hope you get the gist of what I mean by basically going from working jobs, different jobs and stuff like that, but ultimately ending up doing what makes you happy most and working for yourself. Because when I found out by working for different companies, like I was telling you, I worked for Amazon for different companies, but those companies, it was a lot going on within the companies. They were a lot of times unstable, could not keep their employees happy, or they didn't know how to serve their employees based off of the policies that they had. They weren't really fit for employees. It was more so just focused on customers and not when you have a company, not everything can be just fully 100% focused on the customers. Yes, the customers are always important, but you also have to remember the people that are helping you to build your brand. And so if I never find a company that's not there for me to support me in that way and support me as a mom, then obviously I have to leave, because my kids come first and my health come first. So yeah, well, I guess I could say my health comes second, and I had to learn how to put my health and my kids together as much as possible. But yes, so that is my story. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for coming back to my videos and checking me out and hearing what I have to say. I hope that you can find yourself, find a common ground that makes you happy, and focus on leveling up yourself, okay? Don't let any company that you're not happy at hold you back, all right? I love you all, and I wish you nothing but blessings, peace, namaste, okay? Gratitude to all of you for supporting me and loving me. And if you haven't already, please like my video, please share my video, and please subscribe. I love you. Bye.